Chris.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our first AI forum at South Summit. As you guys all know, this year is all about convergence. Our theme this year is AI convergence. And the conversations we're bringing on stage is about how innovation is happening across ecosystems, how it's happening at the intersections of industries, of technologies, of ecosystems. So a bit of what we've put together here you guys are here, so you probably read the brief, but we found when we were doing our research preparing South Summit and seeing what we could do different this year, we identified that in Spain and lots of parts of Europe, there's lots of businesses that are sort of stuck in this AI purgatory, right? How many of you here use AI daily? Can I see some hands? That's pretty good. How many of you have agents deployed? Less? Oh, but more than I expected. So, okay, AI, there's lots of us that are using it daily, maybe to write a mail, to do some research. But how many of us are actually using it deeply in our businesses, adopting it and integrating it? That's what this forum is about. We want to bring some tools, some hands-on experiences for you guys to see how you can actually implement. We have people from Microsoft AI, we have people from Modulor, we have people from Miro, we have our amazing Joe here that will be intervening and leading a bit on the way. And then we have a workshop led by IE University as well with Joe and Kiko Machin. So without further ado, Joe, the stage is yours.
Okay.
Lead this, and I hope you guys enjoy it. Have a great day.
Okay, thank you very much, Chris. Okay, so very nice welcome. It's always nice to be welcomed. As you get on in years, you get to appreciate people saying nice things about you. So my job really is just to be the MC. In other words, to do things like pointing you towards the exits, even though I don't know where the exits are, and pointing you towards the toilets, even though I don't know where the toilets are. But it's actually a lovely crowd we have here. Not too many, not too few, although the people on the stage won't actually be able to see your faces. So, when you laugh at when they're probably here wondering, making jokes and wondering how they are, they don't know whether you're laughing at them or not. But anyway, in a world where there seems to be an AI forum every single day, we actually have a great lineup of speakers. So I'm quite excited. They're all people I know very well, and I'm quite excited. So congratulations to Chris and his team for putting together this group of people. So anyway, as I was saying, my job is just to get people on and off and hopefully not get in their way. So with that, what I'm going to do is introduce the first speaker, who's Elena, who's a good friend of mine who I've known for many years. And Elena, I'm not going to embarrass her by talking about her long career and all of that. So Elena, if you just want to come up on stage, we will just get your presentation up together, and then I'll ask, yeah, wait until I ask for the applause, okay? I'm in charge here. I'm like a professor, so I like the students respond to what I say. So anyway, so if we could have, oh, look, they have a nice picture of you. That's very good. Okay, so are you excited, Elena, yeah?
For sure.
How many presentations about AI have you given in this calendar year?
I don't know, more than ever.
I know, more than you've had hot dinners. Anyway, okay. So anyway, we're really excited to have you here. I'm really excited also to go first. So does that look familiar?
Yes, it does.
Very good. Okay. So we have the clicker as well. Fantastic.
Yes.
And you forgot that. And your microphone is working. Okay. So without much ado, ladies and gentlemen, Elena Gonzalez Blanco.
Thanks a lot, everyone, for being here today. 5th floor, no air conditioning on the way, so it was kind of a challenge after lunch being here. Thank you very much. I hope that the presentation will really enjoy you. Because, of course, we are talking about AI, but I don't like to talk about AI now with the bump, with the magic, with all the things that are happening today. When I talk about AI, I always approach AI from a scientific point of view, because I think it's more important than ever to understand where we are, why we are where we are today, and where we are going. And that's exactly what I'm trying to explain today with the overview of the startup world that I have in my current position, but also with my previous experience, because I'm lucky enough to having started working with AI when it was not working, before Gen AI, and when people didn't believe at that, which is a very different moment. And that's why I'm always bringing Alan Turing to the stage, because he published a paper in the year 1951 when he was saying, if a person and a machine are in a room, and there is a person that is outside the room, at the moment that the person that is outside the room is not able to distinguish if he is talking to the machine or to the person, there is the moment where AI will be mature. Who of you believe that this moment has arrived? Raise your hands. Who doesn't? Well, there are some people that have not an opinion on that, but that's kind of hesitating. So the good thing of this kind of reaction is that what we feel today is that AI is really there. If I had the same question 1 year ago, the number of hands that were raising the hands were a little bit different. What is changing every day is the perception that we have about the AI, and especially about the speed that we are having. But this is something that has also frightened us since a long time ago. Here is Marvin Minsky. This is the founder of the Artificial Intelligence Lab at MIT. They published an interview in the journal Life in 1970, which is super relevant because of the date. And the journalist said, this man says that in 5 to 8 years, machines will be more intelligent than humans. I think he's a bit exaggerated. It will take 15 years. 1970, and we were so scared as we are now about artificial intelligence and AI and all the things that we are listening. What I want to say with that is that even the fundamentals, the machine learning, mathematical background, the algorithms, and everything was invented in the 50s because those guys were really pioneering. They created all the algebra and all the stuff that is below the LLMs that we are using today. We are not able to put them in production because we didn't have 3 things. First of all, data. Do you know how many data were used to train GPT 3.5? Any ideas? No? Millions? No? Trillions, 18 trillions and more that we don't know. So the point here is we didn't have enough data that were not available in the cloud and not available to be consumed to train these models. And we didn't have the infrastructure needed for that. So that's why NVIDIA and all the GPUs and all the data centers that we are building are already related with these kind of things because are absolutely needed to build and to train the models that we are using. And of course, the foundation model, which is the product of these kind of things. This has become a reality since, let's say, the year 2010 because of the science evolved, as I was mentioning before. I won't go into very big details, but the most important change of big technology is when I say language became mathematics. That means that we started to put algorithms as vectors. When AI is querying a model, the first thing that we are doing is transforming a word into a vector that is represented in its 3-dimensional space. These vectors are combined in what we call a neural network, which is the basis of deep learning, where these algorithms are based on. And this has several layers where these trillions of data are passing from one layer to the other through the vectors. And they get an outcome. That's why we see that artificial intelligence sometimes is a black box. We cannot predict what's going to happen after these kind of layers, but we can evaluate. And this is super important when we train models, when we use models, and when we want to choose a model for a specific task. And here we have what is called a transformer. It's an architecture that was created in the year 2017 by DeepMind, just to imitate how human brain was reasoning and to try to, let's say, reproduce with the algorithmic work how the human was reasoning in the brain. So what is artificial intelligence doing when we put a prompt into a tool and we have a model behind? So the first thing that we are doing is tokenizing. Now this is a word that is very in fashion because tokens are, let's say, the price that we pay for artificial intelligence use. And this is becoming crazy because now that we are using code every day, the price of coding is becoming like that because we are using a lot of tokens. That means we are generating and putting a lot of text into this kind of prompts and in the context that we are giving. What the model is doing after splitting the words into tokens is calculating which is the most probable word after the context that I've given to them. What I want to say here is that artificial intelligence is not thinking, is not intelligent, is not reasoning like a human. It's just a probabilistic machine that has trillions of tokens inside and gathers the information in the information that it has inside or the context that we can provide to that. The context can be the website, can be some documents, can be our company staff, can be a lot of things that are related to the prompts or the questions that we are doing. So this is what an LLM is and how it's based. Let's say that AI exploded in 2020 when just ChatGPT was launched in the market in November and it gained 1 million of users in a record time. But after that, there are many things that have happened. 1 year after, we created what we call reasoning models. So we started adding layers to make people understand that we needed to explain the processes that the model was using to arrive at a result. If I have a very engineering complex process, I don't want just to have the results or where do I need to put the bridge. I need to understand step by step what the models are doing and which are the data that they are using to get the result. That's why we started to work with reasoning model, and if we are playing with the tools, when you see the model is thinking, we are using this kind of transformer layer to really understand what's the next steps in terms of reasoning like a machine. Where are we today? And this is the most important part of the session. So today we are in the moment of agentic AI. And what's agentic AI? So as you know, in the last, let's say, 3 years, we've lived in a moment of experimenting, created with Gen AI, translating an email in a very nice way, doing a creative stuff that we could not do before, and playing with language and searching for information in big databases. That's generative AI. But now we are a step further. So we are creating agents that are not able only to reason and to have this LLM as a brain, but they are also able to perform tasks. They are able to do things, to follow instructions, and even to do autonomous tasks if we give them the permission to do that. So where we are today in this kind of, let's say, movement. As we are telling you, in the 50s, we have the artificial intelligence fundamental. Then we created this machine learning stuff, deep learning, creating autonomy with the neural network. Now we are in generative AI with two big things. The first one is agentic AI and autonomy. And the other one is also robotics, physical AI. We are seeing today that we are having a lot of IoT stuff that are bringing the models into the local, let's say, devices. We are yesterday announced lots of things that are coming into the PCs to deploy models in the PCs and to connect the physical world with the cloud world, which is kind of what's the next. If I had to found a startup today, probably, well, going in that direction is not a bad idea because there will be a lots of things going in that kind of ecosystem. And well, that's something that it's also important where we are going. I don't put AI, I just put a question mark because everything is changing so fast that for me the problem is not the future, the problem is the present and how we can accelerate and assimilate the amount of things that we are seeing to adopt the phenomena that we are seeing. And we are moving from software as a service to service as a software. We are talking about this SaaS apocalypse and this kind of things that we have read in the recent month. What's happening here? So are SaaS companies dead? What's happening in the market? We are able to deploy code more faster than ever and easier than ever. But what we are seeing now is artificial intelligence is not a problem of technology anymore. It's a problem of business. It's a problem of understanding where the company needs to go, which are the processes needed to be done to get the improvement, to get the successful results, to get the finances that we get, to get the ROI, and to get the operational stuff. And understanding this and training the agents to perform these tasks are the key to success that we are having today. So again, how is this going? So I was mentioning that we are now in this agentic moment where we are coming from a retrieval part. So that means that the agent is just asking the LLM a question, we are prompting, we are happy, we have been, let's say, asking, creating the results and much quicker on that. Now we are at the moment of giving the agent these tasks. The agents are able to perform things. And we will be evolving into a, let's say, company that has the possibility of just orchestrating a group of agents. So what's the future? What's the present today? Creating a company where I have my work myself and several agents working for me and talking to each other. It's scary, no? It's not so scary if we understand how an agent works. And this is exactly what I'm going to tell you. So first of all, and we have also heard that LLM has been a commodity now. What does it mean? I mean, it's not a commodity at all because, well, if you look at Foundry, for example, at Microsoft, we have 11,000 models, which is a lot. And we are getting models and models every day more. But the point here is, if we want to create an agent that really works well and solve my problem, I need to have my data, I need to have my understanding of the business, and I need to have a clear understanding of the process on how to use it. And that's exactly what an agent is. It's a kind of combination between an LLM as an intelligence to perform the task, to do the reasoning, my own data or the data of the company or the context that I want to provide to it, and a very clear list of tasks that he needs to perform and to test. And to iterate, for sure. So what's the impact in a company on that? Where are we using agents and why? So the first thing that we are seeing is that the impact of this revolution is now becoming a real revolution. We are seeing that we are changing the employee experience. So in our company and in every other company, we are training other people to use agents, to create agents, to build their own agents. This is something that will be normal. I mean, the company that is not working with people and agents, it's not up to date. So don't be hesitating in terms of that. Use AI. Everyone needs to use AI, but not only for productivity purpose. We need to reinvent the customer experience. We can do much more with agents. We can do personalized stuff. We can understand. We can react. We can make decisions in a very quick way. And this will transform completely the customer experience. But we will reshape the business process. Now we need to change how the company is producing and manufacturing stuff. How a pharma is bringing a medicine to the market instead of 10 years, in 5 years. And from that, we can go to the next level, which is how we bend the curve of innovation, how we can create new things that we're not able to create before and didn't exist. So it's the same kind as if we think about the revolution of internet or the revolution of the printing machine or electricity. It enabled an ecosystem that didn't exist before. This is the same that is happening with AI. But let's come to the reality on how a company works. So as I told you, we have several levels. We have the individual productivity layer. Of course, we are there. We feel comfortable. Everyone uses AI. That was the first question. We started the talk at the beginning. Everyone is using AI. Everyone is happy. But yeah, and especially developers, because we are seeing that the development world is kind of changing. 90% of code today is generated by artificial intelligence, which means that it's a big change also for individual productivity at that level. But we need to go into this business process and these transformation layers where we will be seeing that at the end of the day, the company that we have today, which is the first one, is a little bit of technology and some people. Then we will have some revenue for these people, but we will evolve into the same kind of people, but a lot more of technology and a much bigger productivity. What I want to say with this is that AI is not talking about jobs, AI is not doing crazy things and, let's say, destroying the market. It's the contrary. AI is helping us as a human to multiply the type of work that we can do. And of course, in the startup world, that is more important than ever. Because the success happens when we have all the processes connected. So what happens in many companies is that all data are fragmented, all business processes are disconnected. And when we try to bring AI on top of that, we are not successful. And this is not a matter of using the right or the wrong LLM or not having the right ecosystem or the right people in the team. It's a matter of how we build and how we design the full strategy on the company by using AI, but also data and also connected information and agentic stuff built on top of that. So the point here is that we are not talking anymore about AI. We are talking about a unified intelligent platform when we need to have trust for our customers and intelligence as a layer that is far beyond the agentic stuff. It needs to be in the data, it needs to be in the process, and it needs to connect everything with a business sense and a business logic. And this is the kind of evolution that we need to bring to our companies today. The good thing with the startup is that we are smaller, we are starting from the beginning, we are data-driven, and everything is easier because we can connect things in a quicker way, and also because the speed of reaction is quicker than in a big enterprise where process and changes take time, which is a really big challenge in the moment that we are seeing today. So, if we come to the business process and we see here what we have, this is a complex manual workflows where there are many things that you can even not see because they are so small and so complex. This is a testament process when somebody dies and needs to close the bank account in the bank. So something like that, that might be simple. It's a process that triggers lots of things that need to happen. What happens if all these processes that take 2 months to happen, it's triggered by 10 agents at the same time and just taking a matter of hours? Well, that's technically possible today, but we need to change all this process and really understand where the process is stuck and how to change it. The same is we want to ask for a loan. We have several people that are asking for collection, verification of document, KYC, completing the customer's detail and calling up and down. So I was 5 minutes ago talking to my insurance because I need to repair something that is broken in my house. They call me 5 times, they schedule, they call again to see if the reparation has been done. This kind of process can be fully automated by agents. And of course, we have the control, the human in the loop, the supervision. This is not something that we can just run and leave and see, well, I'm not caring. Of course, we are caring. We have tools to control that. We have governance, we have security, and we have lots of layers to really understand, control, and tell us when the agents are acting. But the point here is first understanding the process and see how we can transform every single process in the industry, wherever the industry, wherever the function, or wherever the role of the person is, with AI. Which means not replacing, means transforming, because we have use cases in all these industries and on all these areas that you can see in the screen. Why? Because at the end of the day, where we have images, videos, text, and language, we can have AI. We can have agents, and it's a matter of understanding where we are and how we can transform completely areas like customer service. For example, Where we are seeing super successful startup at this moment? Call center, service. Why? Because voice is now becoming really good. We have the very good voice models that can pick up the phone, answer at the same time, interrupt me, understand if I have a different meaning, and really understand also the way in which I speak. Because if I'm from Andalusia and if I'm from the north of Spain, I might not speak the same Spanish. But now the models have an ability to really understand what I'm trying to say, to get the intention, to answer at the same time, and to interact with the tools to provide the right answer. This, of course, cannot cover 100% of the case, but let's say that the revolution in this kind of customer service area, it's been amazing, and we are seeing really good results in this kind of ecosystem. Another example that has nothing to do is beauty. You can imagine the beauty industry is investing in AI a lot. L'Oreal, this kind of LVMH, all the big companies that are working on the beauty and the retail stuff are investing like crazy in startups that are doing analysis of what's the color of the skin, what's a product that fits better for you. You need the knowledge of the business. You need the data of many customers that have bought, that have the impact, have allergies. You need to have the knowledge. You need to understand what you need to do, but you can create the best customer experience by providing the best product, by selling more, but having also a successful customer that's really happy with the offering. So we have lots of examples across all the areas, and the point here is really to understand what's the transformational point. As a startup, if I have to find a startup today, I would never go into the pure technical ecosystem. It's super difficult at this moment. We are competing so strong. Every day, a new thing is coming. We don't know what will happen tomorrow, and it's really difficult to survive if we are just only investing in something that it's really subject to change because of the market is moving like crazy. But if we have the right data, if we have a knowledge of a market where we are really strong, if we really think that we have a human problem to solve, then we have an opportunity because we can be faster, we can adopt the latest technology that are coming to the market, and we can work in an ecosystem. So, for example, in my current role, we are helping a startup to adopt the technology, but also to build on top of an infrastructure that can provide security standard, responsible AI, and don't need to care about everything by themselves. So the message here today is do whatever you want, everything will work, but have the right business idea, the right data, and the right technology platform to build on top of that, because at the end of the day, we are building on top of the shoulders of giants. And of course, there is some challenges that will be there. Everyone is super scared about deepfakes. Hey, bad and good people are always working with technology, and technology is always working for the good and for the bad. So we need sure that we need to be protected. GPU's capability. We are at a moment, and we were discussing just before the moment, where energy, scarcity, GPUs, data center, those are challenges of our modern world that are also the consequence of AI. And we are working also in providing data centers that are not just expending and using water and reducing the number of energy that we are using too, and creating a smaller model that can run locally. These are kind of like the like of trends that we are working at also to provide a better world with AI, but we need to understand that we are in a real revolution that is not only impacting software world, but also lots of different areas. And of course, security. Security is super important. Whatever you do, take security very seriously. We are at a moment where it's not only about cybersecurity, it's also about, let's say, regulation, it's also about the content that we are generating and to creating an ecosystem and an environment where we can not only be protected, but also be aware and evolve with the technology at the same speed that everything is going. And of course, well, we are living in a country where things are different. Now things are being rethinking in terms of regulation, but we are competing in a global world where the technology is produced everywhere and everything is going faster and faster. So it's important to be aware on how we are, which are the requisites, which are the limitations, and also to challenge sometimes the ambition that we have to create a better country here in Spain and also in Europe. And I have only 16 seconds to say that, well, this is a responsibility of everyone. As Marvin Minsky said at the beginning of the presentation, robots will inherit the earth, yes, but we will be the parents. So it's our responsibility to train the AI to create the best startup in the world and don't to fear about everything. If you just feel that the floor is kind of frightening about your feet, you are in the right position. Because we are at a moment where if you feel that you are in your comfort zone, you are wrong. You must be thinking that everything is changing and you must feel, let's say, this kind of inquietude every night that you go to sleep and your eyes still bright because you think what you can do with this new agent and with this new model and with everything that is happening, but you don't know how and what. So welcome to the world of uncertainty and experimentation. Thank you very much.
Well, no, thank you, Elena. Don't worry, I won't ask you any questions, or anything like that. Anyway, so okay, that was great. Robots will inherit the earth, but we're going to be their parents. I'm not so sure how I feel about that. My kids are now grown up, and don't want any robots turning up looking for extra money or anything like that. All like kids. Anyway, okay, so the fun and games continue. So Jorge, if you want to come up on stage, and I'll give you a cringeworthy introduction that you will really hate, but then the fun will continue. So, okay, bit faster, come on.
Yeah,
okay,
sorry.
bit faster. So we just need to make sure that we have the right presentation and your microphone is working.
Yeah, we have it.
Oh, very good. So that looks
With a
familiar,
start.
yeah?
Yep.
Are you excited?
Super excited. Yeah.
It's like moments like this. Okay. So, and what are you going to talk about?
We're going to talk about it's going to be based on our experience at Modular. What we are doing actually is transforming the company, and the topic is building AI native organizations. So what we are trying here to do is not from the tool, we are makers. We collaborate and work with corporations, and we work with these tools actually that they are providing AI. So how we are transforming the company inside and also for our clients.
Okay, sounds really exciting. Okay, can I get a big South Summit welcome, please, for Jorge?
Thank you so much. Yeah, thanks. All right, thank you everyone for joining, and thanks for South Summit and AI for having us here. So as I mentioned, we're going to be talking about how to build an AI native organization. Although before jumping into this, the first thing is you are not AI native unless you create your company basically this year or the previous year, right? Because all of us, we have process with the old technology, and that heritage, actually, all these legacy tools basically don't allow us to be fully native. In order to be what we find out basically is in order to be fully native on AI, what you have to do is to be basically yourself, the founder, and all AI automated process, right? Which is quite tough. And basically AI is doing all the job for you. And we are seeing actually here at IE and other places some new startups coming up and being even your agent is your provider and a system and doing almost all the tools. I also wanted to highlight this from Y Combinator because we're an agency, and this is the first time actually that Y Combinator say that they could invest in agencies due to AI, right? Not only in agencies, obviously there are so many disruptive industries that now they are changing. But here, for us, for example, it was complicated to scale because when you're an agency and you're working with clients like Inditex, that's our case, you always grow, but with people, right? In this case, now when we are introducing AI, we have the first opportunity now to scale the company and grow, but also leverage the technology and not only the people. And as I mentioned before, what we are doing ourselves, and I don't know how many of you here is first-time entrepreneur or if you're working for a company. The second one, working for a company that is already up and running. Most of you, right? So we all have, you know what we have. We have processes that are established, and what we are doing now is transform ourselves. So this is a report from the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, sorry, where we saw that actually web designers, software developers, marketers, and so on, this is our main business. That's what we provide. We're extremely exposed to AI, right? So when everything, all this transformation started 2 years ago, we were what's going to happen, right? We are planning to grow, but at the same time, we see that our software developers and web designers and marketers are super exposed. But I wanted to show this slide because of the acts. At the same time, we are on the top most adaptable profiles, which we think is an opportunity. So it's true that, for example, secretaries or interpreters, translators, they are in a tough situation because it is true that AI is kind of transform that industry and automate absolutely everything. So I just give this as context, so you know a little bit about how we are facing, what we are reading, and how we are then tackling the situation. This is actually myself in the Mobile World Congress giving a similar talk, but specifically about the creative industry. And after the talk, there were a few questions. How many layoffs are you doing? Because we were talking we're introducing AI. And how you're restructuring your team, right? Which is fair. That's the usual mindset. AI is coming. Elena was saying before, agents are coming and going to automate process and probably are going to be able to transform and automate many things, right? Like replacing, fewer people can do much more things and so on. The way we see it is like with the same people or even more, we could expand and elevate our work, right? So it's a very positive mindset. We know that obviously we're saying this today and maybe next year it can change, but it's a very positive way to see it and it's the way we are doing it. And the reason because we claim it is because in our case, we increased 20 employees, 21 employees, and introducing AI at the same time. So it's giving us more capabilities and it's elevating our work and we are doing things that we couldn't do before and I will show some examples now. And just to show you, because probably some of you, maybe you don't know Modulor, but basically we are 6 studios. One of them is a startup, Maito, but the other 5 are services providers on different areas like branding, strategy, development, vibe coding, Shopify, and so on. And the type of clients that we have are mostly corporate, but we work as well with many venture capital firms and startups. So this is the type of clients we're working on helping here. So how can we become AI native, right? That was the first question we were mentioning, and that's our focus of the talk here. In order to be AI native, like as I mentioned before, in our case, we're going to show examples of these 3 yellow charts. Business and operations, tech and design and creativity, how we are implementing first AI, because we're transforming. But the way we see it is like it's a layer, which is an intelligence system that is across the whole organization, right? Otherwise, we're working by silos by department, and what we are doing is just to be on the first step, which is the optimization. The way we think the transformation is a phase 1 optimization, basically buying license, and this probably most of you have already licenses, so we start to work and be more productive with optimization by departments, with Claude, with ChatGPT, and many other tools. And then what we are seeing as well is like how we elevate our work and how we reimagine and how we restructure our existing process, right? So we are doing these 3 in parallel, but most of the people are in phase 1 in traditional organizations. As I was mentioning, like phase 1, experimenting, understanding the value of AI and integrating it across all our current process. And we will show later more in detail how we are integrating and what are the stoppers, right? Like the data, the process, are going to be the challenge. So we selected 3 cases that we are changing, right? Like 1 year ago, in 2025 or 2024 and 2026. The first one is the technology team. We have a team around 45 software developers that before they were mostly front-end, back-end, and obviously we saw them in the Washington Post report. They are very exposed, and the tools actually like Cloud Code and so on, they are replacing or they are doing things that they were doing before, right? So right now, I mean, the way we see it is like our technical teams are becoming now orchestrators. Before they were software developers, right? So the first thing we did is to change the way we are hiring. Like we're not hiring the same people as we were hiring before. In the classic hiring, when we go 1 or 2 years ago, at least in Spain here in our case, we're checking how they were executing the code, and obviously how good were at the technical test and so on, and the cultural fit. How we're seeing it right now is more the criteria, basically, that they have when they are building the products, right? And also, not just from the technical perspective, but how they can defend, how they can explain to the other projects or to the company or to the boss, basically what they are building is the right way and with the right integrations and with the right code and so on. And obviously the cultural fit and so on, it keeps critical, but that was also before. So also a few questions that make us is like, okay, which tools are you using? Are you using Microsoft? Are you using Anthropic? Are you using OpenAI? But what we see is like, it's not only the models are changing every day. So what we are trying to give is flexibility. What is key is the adoption, right? And this, I mean, you probably, it's a video, it's not working, I think.
That $500,000 engineer, at the end of the year, I'm going to ask them how much did you spend in tokens? And that person said $5,000. I will go ape something else.
Yes. Right.
If that $500,000 engineer did not consume at least $250,000 worth of tokens, I am going to be deeply alarmed. Okay?
Well, we put this video because we don't have, I don't know if you have, but we don't have salary on tokens for our developers, right? But obviously there is an interest behind. Obviously, it's the CEO of NVIDIA. They are empowering, and probably there are companies they are doing it. Why we say that? Because what we are trying to be is at the same time we're transforming is to be AI responsible and to have ethics and so on, right? So, for example, we have here Nico, who is our head of engineering, who is in charge actually of adoption and integrating all the models, the most efficient models that we find in the market. We're trying to put them on top of the table for our developers in this case. And we are measuring adoption, right? Like we have different dashboards. We build like adoption in terms of like how many users are using it, the total contributions they are doing with commits and so on, by app and so on. So we can perfectly see, providing them like Cloud Code, Codex, and Gemini, like what type of models are using more or less based on our previous criteria analysis, basically, that we provide them. So we're checking this in a weekly and monthly basis, and we have rankings by people as well, where we see more adoption, less adoption. And obviously, if we just see this metric, it could be a vanity metric, right? Because it's like using AI, it doesn't mean you are more productive. That's why we wanted to shake is a product like, and this is not the real project because we have NDA with the final client, but for example, a project that was an OTT, similar to Netflix, but for a regional TV here in Spain, that it took us 6 months in 2024. It took us 1 month to execute now and get in the AA on accessibility criteria, right? So the speed is 6 times faster of what we could do before 2 years ago. This is real, a real project with almost the same people. It's just the same squad. It's just like a totally different result, right? Like in 1 month, what we were building before in 6 months. So obviously the speed and the productivity is here. And we like this sentence because it's like you're only as fast as your slowest stage. Your team, your technology team can be very fast, but it could be a wrong KPI to measure only your development team. It has to be coordinated with the rest of the teams. So what we are doing is to build squads that are combining business, product design, and development. And this is something we are doing, but we are also seeing the mouse pilots, for example, at BBVA and other innovative companies are building. Also, you will see there Agents MD, Skills MD. So this is all the information to create basically brand books for designers or context with code for developers. So what we are executing with these agents in collaboration with the AI is properly built, right? Because what happens is like, if you ask to Claude without any context, as you probably know, it's going to shoot whatever that is not a result that is not expected. So what we are building, as Elena mentioned before, is a shared intelligence layer for each project with all the context from the company or of our clients and as well from our agency to try to make it faster and with higher quality. So that's the way we're collaborating. And a few questions that I'm not going to deep dive because we need to move with other cases, but a few questions that you should be thinking in terms of like, I'm actually faster. So these are like how many deploys I'm rolling. I'm getting fewer bugs because sometimes maybe you develop faster, but you get much more bugs. And in the end, the product is not well done or is not done as expected. And in the end, it's not an efficient KPI or metric. Case 2 is the vibe coding for our business and operation team. So non-technical people. So me, I am non-technical. So the tech team is introducing all these advanced that the models and tools are helping us, but also the business teams are starting to use these type of tools, right? So we have a couple of examples. Desky is our tool to book our spots in the office. So every person who is coming to our office, we are 130 people, but our office is only available for 40 people because we are fully remote. So when you come to our office, you need to book a spot, right? This project, we built it back in 2022 for Factorial with a development team. It took us 4 months. It was built by our vibe coding team now in 2 weeks. Obviously, we had validated what was the hypothesis, and we knew what the product should be doing. But it's crazy how the speed changed, right? Like how much more we can produce now, thanks to, in this case, with Lovable. And for example, the finance team for our weeklies or monthly weeklies and so on, they build this dashboard on Lovable versus the Excel spreadsheets. So the interface is much easier to consume. and with more graphics and easier to digest for everyone. So our finance team, our operations team, office management team are also using these tools, and they are getting much more by themselves. The case 3 we selected is the creative team. And we have many here because we have a lot of designers, but we selected the audiovisual project, video production specifically. How it was before, so we started to use tools in silos, as I mentioned before. We are now using a bunch of tools, and again, the producer is the orchestrator, the same as the developer, right? It is true that when you combine many tools, it can be confusing, but what we are also asking to the teams is experimenting. There are lead engineers, there are lead creatives, that they are making sure that we introduce the best. In our case, there is a special situation here because I think Iñaki was here in the morning as well, representing Maito. So we went from using tools to build our own tool for creativity and producing videos. With Iñaki Berenguer, we created Maito AI, which is a tool that is aggregating basically a bunch of things that we were seeing that other tools were doing separately. We integrating them all in one, and we develop our own software in order to produce AI videos. And we're going to show you one example that's a project that it couldn't be done in times and in budget, but thanks to AI, this year we were able to do it. So this is Tim Cook announcing, the project is from De La Fuente. This was just to give some context. De La Fuente, anyone knows De La Fuente, the artist, the rapper, Spanish rapper? A few of you? Okay. So he's one of the most famous singers here in Spain, and actually he was in the 40th anniversary of the Apple Store here in Madrid, together with Tim Cook and so on. They wrote us and they told us, like, hey, we have 3 weeks and we want to create a video clip for these new clothes from the merchandising brand. And this is the briefing. So the client briefing was very brief, very short actually in this case. And the timing was very, very low as well. So De La Fuente has some background from Granada, and the request actually is very small here, but it's for Azulejos de Corales, which was the 10th anniversary of this song, which has like a Spanish touch. And we have to put these clothes on the people, and we were like, okay, a traditional production company is not going to do it. If we are going to be able to do it, it's ourselves, and we need to run, right? So we start to work on different references based on the artists, based on the context that they give us, and we start to put together references in different areas. So this is still the same process as a normal production company. The difference is in the production. We didn't record anything, and we will show you the video now. But here we're selecting some images from the reference from the photographer, from the artist, Cristina García Rodero and Pierre Berger, just to show to the client, which was our visual and cinematographic reference, and the general concept that they propose us, and how to merge them in order to get the approval of the first concept, right? We were looking for poetry, tradition, future. It was a bit of complex project. So the limitations of the models right now, and you will see the video. If you see the sequence of this storyboard, is 5 seconds, 6 seconds, 3 seconds, 6 seconds. The limitations that we had at least 6 months ago, because this is changing every day. Maybe now it's already longer. We're expecting to have 10 seconds soon. We're using models like Nano Banana on the back end. But if you see, we're changing the scene every 5 seconds because that's the limitation of the model. What we were doing is like, now we have the full storyboard with the clothes that you saw in the original briefing, with the models that we created with the AI models from Nano Banana and some others, and using Maito. And then we came up with this video that obviously I told you that is AI, but if I wouldn't tell you, maybe you would expect like, you wouldn't realize. Oh, it's not working? No, it's not working. Okay, it's a pity. But here there was a video basically showing the whole production, which was very good, and De La Fuente was very happy. Unfortunately, it's not working.
The videos never work.
It's a pity because it's that wow effect. All right, this was the tool we were using. So our vision here, basically, we're going to be talking about tools and how amazing things are doing, right? Like these tools, but the company culture is what everything change and makes available the AI integration. So what we are seeing is that tools and models are changing very fast, and for us is to be clear to the teams that we cannot engage to only one because we need to be flexible, but at the same time you need to make decisions. So the real change for us is the teams, how they work together, the slide that I showed you before, combining business, product, technology, data teams working alongside, and AI agents and so on, that they are working with this system. Where we were before and where we are today in some companies actually that we are working with, the knowledge is still in individuals and departments, and obviously as humans and professionals we feel threatened by AI sometimes, but where we are going is to share systems and AI data-driven that they will be using every day. Me, for example, I do a lot of, on top of my management role as CEO, I do a lot of sales. And we already record everything on Granola, everything goes to HubSpot. HubSpot is generating reports on Notion, and Notion is generating almost proposals at 80% completion with the sales team. So that's where it is for us, the AI transformation, right? The impact, we're elevating our work. What we were, and it's a pity you didn't see the video because that was absolutely impossible to create a year ago, and we were able to complete it in 3 weeks, something that it could be done in 2 months. The same with the development project, the same with the sales decks, the same with every single part in the organization. So, as I mentioned, it's redefining how the organization is collaborating and operating every day. And our vision is that AI is not coming to replace. We mentioned before, we are growing, and in order to do that, it's true that we are expecting to continue growing and maybe not hiring as more as we were hiring in the past. But thanks to that shared system, we feel like as an AI as a collective extension, we're going to be able to do it. And this is what we are facing today. This is, I think, for me, the most important slide, because when a year ago, we sit down and we say, okay, we have to do it, we realized that the first thing we have to process in order to do a proper AI transformation was the data. It has to be a structure and it has to be quality data. And most of the companies, if we didn't do properly the digital transformation, this data will not be correct. And as a consequence, you cannot do any AI transformation. The second one are the process that maybe we have today, more manual and not automated. Today, they can be reinvented. So we are also reviewing if the process are the right process or we have to remind those processes. To be AI native, it doesn't mean to have AI everywhere. It's to have that search system, and then the humans use that search system in order to feed it and use it in a proper way. The people adoption is not optional, and the progress automation, right? First is assisting, optimizing, then is automating some process, and then identifying and getting these agents. This is something we give very clear to our teams. Adoption is not optional. And the way we have to push not only ourselves, but our clients as well, is top-down reinvention. So it has to come from leadership. The leadership has to embrace it. And it's bottom-up experimentation. The teams need to adopt it. It's a balance. You cannot be like, if the leadership doesn't adopt it, it's like, it's not going to work. And if the teams are not using it, neither. So together we have the real transformation. And what the leaders should be doing. Great leaders for us are not just following what the others are doing. You have to lead from your side and from in-house, right? So it's understanding, first of all, is aligning the vision, because it seems very obvious, but if we ask in your company, probably most of the people are going to have different point of views. Some are going to be more scarce. Some others, they're going to see more opportunity. The second one is like, obviously, understanding the industry, your business very well. It seems obvious as well. Leverage the potential of AI, defining the framework, connecting teams. It seems simple, but it's the key to be able to do a real transformation. So, as conclusion, being AI native doesn't mean replacing the humans. That's the message that we have. It means integrating it into every single process of the company. And in order to do that, you have to review all the data, all the process, and make it work, right? And what are we going to be doing in the next months? So actually, I see here part of our team working on this project. But as I mentioned in the beginning, we're optimizing, we're elevating and reimagining. We are here. We are doing projects that we couldn't do before because AI is allowing our teams to move faster and to do things that, in terms of quality, we couldn't. And what we are doing as well is reimagining what we could do. Like, again, like things like existing process that we had in place, that they are not useful anymore, or they are not the most efficient anymore, thanks to the new AI technologies. So we put a team of technical and business people together working across the whole organization. So they are building these pilots, understanding which are the main process and the main areas that they're going to have more impact. We have to measure every single effort and investment that we put here, measuring with KPIs as well. And as I mentioned in the beginning as well, what the main challenge is to build all these common systems across all the different teams. And again, different tools, different APIs, different data sources, very tough. So we have to require the technical assistance, the data quality cleaning, everything. And on top of that is when we start to train models and we put the tools to work for the business and for the rest of the teams. And why we want to do that? Because we want to be 10x more productive. So we come from an organization where everything was human. Obviously, we were very early adopters with many tools back in the past 2019, moving from tools like Sketch to Figma, or in the development side as well. But what we have to do now is like integrating all these agents across all these departments in order to make us to look for this efficiency that the Y Combinator is claiming that we could do, right? And when we come back to the first slide of the presentation, we are very exposed, but at the same time, we have a very good opportunity to adapt. And that's what we are encouraging everyone in the clients as well, to have ambassadors, to have leads there, where you can start to lead these projects in order to build the transformation for your company. And this is the final claim. We believe the future doesn't belong to the largest companies, but to those that learn the fastest. Because the productivity and the competitive advantage that AI is bringing, if you leverage well, you can, in the future, create definitely a unicorn. So that's all. Thank you.
Very good, Jorge. Yeah, you don't have to worry about questions or anything like that. Most people actually run away just in case I do ask questions.
I don't know, I'm open.
But, I'm like, oh, don't ask me questions. You know, certainly not in detail. Okay, so we continue now with Jar, who is somewhere. Here he comes. You know, and he's got a computer with him, and he's got water with him, and, you know, he's all ready to go. Okay, so are you going to connect something,
Yes.
or how's this going to work?
Give me 1 second. We tested it before.
All right, okay.
Should work.
It won't be like Jorge's video then, yeah? Okay, here we go. That plugs in there.
Clicker is not necessary because
And
I did
then-
it. No.
Okay, so we just then wait for everything to...
You guys just have
appear
to
on
change the screen in the back.
Okay, so we just wait, and once we're ready to go, we'll let you go. Okay, still not there yet, but we have great confidence. Do you have a clicker, or are you going to use the keyboard
I don't
thing?
need a clicker.
Or
Yeah.
you're going to AI it? You're going to speak to it and...
It's working.
Ah, perfect. Okay, fabulous. Okay, well, I don't need to do anything else. What are you going to talk to us about? The human edge, yeah?
Yes.
Any kind of preview highlights?
That AI is actually not so much about tools that we think it is, but more about the human side.
Okay, so less about tools than you think it is and more about the human side. Can I have a South Summit welcome, please, for Jar? Thank you very much. Hey, no. Round of applause, please welcome. This is a guest to our country. Thank you very much. You see, they're a bit skeptical. You have to start well. Give it oomph from the beginning.
Thank you, Joe. So my name is Yair. I'm head of startups at Miro, and I also recently authored a book about startup culture. And that gives me the chance to travel to a lot of places in the world. And I want to take you on a little bit of a remembrance of 2 weeks ago when I was in SF, and I did a big startup get-together with 60 startups with Silicon Valley Bank and with 11 Labs, and we talked about the AI native startup operating system. And what I actually learned there, that all of them said like, hey, these tools, yes, for sure, but there's something that is way more important, and that's how humans deal with AI, and that's what we're going to talk about a little bit today. So my promise to you is three things. So first of all, I want to give you a clear read on where your team currently is. So what stage are you in the journey to becoming AI native? And if you paid good attention to Jorge, you should have a very clear answer there. Secondly, I'm going to give you an idea of what actually your job should be in this AI native era, because it's changed drastically in the last 6 months. And then some very actionable takeaways that you can start working on next Monday, when things go back to normal after South Summit. I think most of you have seen these crazy numbers, right? 100 million ARR with 20 people, 200 million ARR with 10 people, 100 million ARR with 50 people. And this is not the future, it's already happening now, and it's not something that is going to be like an outlier. It's really what we're seeing. Less people, more AI. And I want to make this also very interactive with you guys. I work for Miro. For people that don't know what Miro is, it's a collaborative platform that helps people to work together. So I want to use also the collective intelligence of the audience. So we're going to do a couple of exercises because I also want to learn from you and what you think of this AI native revolution that we're going into. So the first thing that I want you to do is take your phone out. Please scan the QR code or go to miro.com/join. And then I want you to do like almost a homework test about Jorge's recent presentation before me, and what does AI native mean to you? I'm curious to learn from you guys what you think AI native means. Are we able to join? Do we get any problems, or let me know what you're seeing. Are we able to see it? Just can I check on your phone? Is it? Can you end? Session doesn't exist. Okay, that's probably not what we want to see. Yeah, it's good. Okay, then if you can give an answer, because what? Yeah. And then they can give an answer. Yes, perfect. So please give an answer about what AI native means for you, because at the end I will make a synthesis where we work AI and people together, and we can all have a takeaway on what the room is thinking about certain things. So there we get the first answer. Building solutions with AI at the core. That's what Paul says. Thanks. Yeah. We'll keep it open for a couple of more minutes so we can get your answers. A business with AI at its base, for sure. So you guys paid good attention to Jorge. System designed by AI from the ground up. Yes, no legacy, indeed. Tim is very brief point. Okay. Okay. Having their own models to deploy AI solutions, the future, every business process built on AI. Okay, I think you guys really paid well attention to Jorge. Let me give you 30 more seconds for the people that joined a little bit later, and then we're going to move further to the next part. Because I also thought about this, and Miro as well. So let's move to the next part. AI is not just a feature, it's the foundation of how the product works. So how we see it at Miro, how we see AI native, it's like a sliding scale. And there's actually 3 main stages that you can be in. However, when I was in San Francisco 2 weeks ago, I learned another term, which we can call level 0. It's an AI tourist. An AI tourist is just somebody that makes a photo of an AI tool, doesn't use it, and says, yeah, I know that tool. That's an AI tourist. But then the real levels is to starting to experiment. So the first one is individuals in an organization trying to use AI. They get a little bit of an idea what it could mean for them. And then we have the second level, which is the retrofit. And a lot of companies are there. Also Miro is there. So we have legacy. We're a 14 years old company right now. So we have legacy. We cannot just adopt AI everywhere directly. And it's a very painful change management process that we go through, but it's very necessary. And this is where a lot of companies are right now. And then you have the truly AI natives ones that you just mentioned as well, with no legacy, like the 11 Labs, the Cursors, the Midjourneys that making a ridiculous amount of ARR with very small teams. For us, we cannot use that as a blueprint because they don't have the legacy, but we can use it as inspiration. So just a quick measurement in the room. Who is currently an AI tourist? So who just... Nobody dares to say it? Who is in the first level? Who is starting to experiment? Yeah, so maybe 20%. Who is in the retrofit? Only one. And then who's AI native? Is there somebody? Startup there, you guys? No? So you? No? So no AI native for one. Which company do you work for? And when did you start the company? When did you start the company? Yeah, that's your big advantage. So yeah, obviously headcount is not necessarily an advantage in this AI native era. If you started before or recently, you can be way higher on this AI native scale. So a couple of more points on theory on how do you become AI native or how do you move further on that scale. And this is what I learned when I was talking to these 60 startups there is, first of all, AI should not be something that is top down, but it should be bottom up. So people inside your company can try out different tools because they work on the workflows every day. They know what is needed to automate their work. So you want people that understand the workflows to also find the right AI tools. Yeah, so bring your own AI to work. That's the idea. People have to get the chance to experiment since they're the people that are currently working on these processes already. If you just say as a leader, we're going to now use Claude for everything, it might not work. Then the second part, and that is something that I find very interesting, if you now look in the startup ecosystem, you see all these very great founders building everything in public. They put on LinkedIn everything that they're doing. They're sharing everything. Very transparent. And it's also in their company, they're also sharing everything. They're very open on what they're doing, what their challenges are, which creates a level playing field for the AI models because everybody has access to the same level. In a lot of companies, there's restrictions on what people should be knowing because you're not at the highest level, right? So if you codify and you bring more transparency into your organization where everybody has access to all the information, your AI models will work better. And then, talked about it just now with Jorge, you're not trying to hire for depth as a specialist, but you want to hire for range, people that can decide several things, that are really able to make decisions on alignment, where should we focus on, instead of just doing one thing the whole day, because we can automate it and we're going to be automating more and more and more. So we need people that can have an overview of where do we want to go instead of just doing one thing. So these, if you look at it, these have nothing to do with tools necessarily, right? It's like more like a mindset, it's a cultural thing, it's a people thing that we're talking about. Then let's move over to what we call the great inversion. And I think this is very interesting. So we used to spend 80% of our time on doing things and 20% of the time on thinking about things. But now, with all the automation, we're moving towards this. We can only have to spend 20% of our time on doing, and we have 80% time left to think. So we get a lot of time to think, which we call the great inversion. So instead of doing one wrong thing slowly, like a lot of startups did before, they can do now 100 wrong things quickly. Yeah? Great, you can test a lot of wrong things. That's what you want to iterate fast, but then speed is not the same as alignment. So we can do a lot of things, a lot of wrong things, but we need to align on where we want to go and how are we going to be able to make the right decision. And that's where it gets interesting, and it brings us to how I call it the new job on what are the skills that you really need to have. So if AI is going to run the execution, what do you need to be doing? So you need to be able to explore, try out new things. You need to be able to set your context. You need to be able to judge. You need to be able to align with your team and set the right direction. And that is something that has shifted tremendously in the last 6 months. And we're just going more towards this because AI runs the execution, right? And big calls, like where are we going? If you, for example, look at yourself, if you would get a job offer, would you let Claude make the decision for you or ChatGPT? You will still do it yourself. You still have to align with your values. You still have to talk with your partner, with your best friends, like, hey, do you think this is fit for me? These big decisions are still human. So we need to keep that in our back of our mind. There's still a lot for us to do, but it's on a different level of maybe abstractness that we have to work on. And this is what I call the paradox of the AI native era. So I'm honest to you guys, I talk to Claude more than to all my colleagues. Who's talking more to an AI model than to their colleagues right now? So yeah, I think 20%, 30% is talking more to, you will get there, the rest will also get there soon. So you're going to talk more to AI soon, I guess. So what's happening now is that the tool that's freeing up our mind, so we have less work that we need to focus on, more less execution, we get a lot of time to think, but we're not doing it together anymore. So we have more time, but we use the time to go more in depth with AI instead of using the power of our colleagues, of our team, to align with each other. So what we used to do, we used to ask a colleague, now we ask Claude or ChatGPT. We used to solve problems together, now we solve it with AI. The number one thing to really create a team and connection and belonging is to solve hard problems together, but nobody ever is actually doing this in this AI native era because it's so easy to just talk to AI. We're also not giving feedback sessions anymore. We are now avoiding confrontation because we have our personal assistant feedback machine in one. And then we also used to reflect together, but actually what we're currently doing, we're prompting for validation. So we are prompting for validation just to feel good and maybe not get the real reflection that other people would have with us. So that is the paradox that we're facing right now. And looking at human well-being in general, there's three pillars. So probably you know the mental well-being and the physical well-being, but there's a third one, which is called the social well-being, social health. And this is not like a nice to have, it's really a third pillar that you need to feel that you're really a healthy person in general. So people with a really strong sense of belonging, they are 2.6 times more likely to be high performers. And by going more and more into that abyss of AI, we're losing that connection. Yeah, so in my opinion, connection is the new mode. We need to focus more on the time that we have left to connect with our colleagues, with our teams, with our investors, to make sure that we get to that next level of where we want to go and focusing on the right things while we're building 100 bad things at the same time. So please take your phone out again, and I'm curious to learn from the room. Please scan or what are you currently doing in your day-to-day to create connection in your team? What are things that we could learn from each other? And I also have some ideas after this, but I want to also get it from you guys. So what are we doing now? Especially also, I'm curious for people that work in the remote world, what are they doing now to create connection with their colleagues? Yeah, okay, cool, it's working. We work out together, I like that, yeah, for sure, it's smart, but then you need to be in the same area, I guess, right? Don't do it like behind Zoom or Google Meets. Are there any more ideas that we have? How do we create connection with our colleagues? Beers, for sure. Bringing people together in real life is always a good idea. And that's why South Summit is also so busy, I guess, right now. And then creating virtual rooms to mimic in-person meetings. Okay, interesting. I would like to learn more about how that works. Okay, we'll try to find Patri afterwards. Then catch-up sessions in person and meeting coffee chats, yeah, for sure. So we're all feeling that in real life is very important. Are there other things that people want to share that they feel that they're currently doing before I go to the next one? Any more input? Having a daily stand-up, tagging and reposting their social media posts for support. Okay, cool. People are your most important asset, our registered trademark in the US. I meet with every member of our 115-person team every quarter. Very good, yeah. So really make sure that you're there, creating that connection, being available. I think that's very important. See, are more people still typing, or shall I go to the next one? Okay, I think I'm going to go to the next one. Thank you. All right, let's move further. So I'm going to give you some ideas of what I found very interesting ways on how some of these AI native companies are doing it. So Cursor, what they do, I find it quite funny. They have a no-shoe policy in their office. So they take off their shoes when you enter the office to feel more connected and more homely. Very creative, but I think I would definitely feel more connected when I'm without my shoes versus with my shoes. So I understand that. Then 11 Labs, probably everybody heard about them as well. They had 30 people, and then the founder decided, like, wait, this is not going well. We don't know what our culture is. Although when they had 30 people, they decided to open already 3 hubs and make sure that people could come into the office, because where you're going to build is how your culture is formed. So they wanted to have people together. Like social interaction, they understood that it's very important. And then at Miro, we have fuck-up nights every month where we talk about stuff that we did wrong. So things that we are not doing well, leadership is sharing openly, and that creates a place of psychological safety, but also a place for experimentation where people are okay to make mistakes. So that is how we do it. So these are a couple of ideas how you can think about creating that connection. And then one more question for you guys, and then we're going to go to the end. So this is what one habit your team currently has that AI is quietly making obsolete. So you didn't replace it yet, but actually in the back of your mind, you already know, like, yeah, we should have replaced this. So I'm curious, what are the things that you're currently doing in your team that AI could do, but you're avoiding it? Could you tell me what it is? So this is, again, another code. I don't know why all the time a different code, but please join, and I'm curious to get it, because we're going to use your answers for a synthesis afterwards. Some people typing. Creating meeting notes still manually, yeah. I think that's definitely something that most companies don't do anymore. Any more input? Onboardings, okay, yeah. I can see that for a big part, but I also feel that it might be great if you meet people really in person to feel the culture. So I would say, like, the onboarding is very important to set the tone of your culture. It's your entry to the company. So I would say, maybe, in my opinion, I would advise to do that partly automated and then partly in person. Daily task processes, challenges faced by members of the team. Yeah. That is all things that can be automated and doesn't have to you use your brain too much for the capacity. Could use it on other stuff. I would also say with write automatic responses to emails. Yeah, very easy to install actually. And then improving writing skills faster. Yeah, for sure. I think that's one of the things people use AI the most for. Weekly updates, calls to review everybody's assignment. Yeah, I think if it's just an update, that can very easily be automated. If we're talking about reflecting on how can we do it better or what have you learned, then that should be with people. But just the standard update, that's definitely something that you can automate. Cool, thanks. I'm going to move to the end of the presentation. So there's a couple of things that you only can do as a leader of a company, as a leader of a startup or SMB. You need to create a space for psychological safety. So create a space where people are allowed to make mistakes. As a leader, one of the most strong things that you can say is like, I don't know, do you have any feedback for me? I hired you because you know this better. Give people the freedom to make mistakes, give them the freedom to try out with AI. It's not about execution anymore, it's about exploration and judgment. And you need to make it safe to do that job because it's more risky than just doing something that has been done already the last 10 years. Then protect human time. I think everybody agreed on that. Meeting in person, bringing people together, having check-ins where you don't talk about just the deliverables, but reflect on the deliverables. Hey, is this what we want to see? What are we going to do better next time? How can we, what should we stop doing? So protect that. I think everybody agreed. And then the third brings us back a little bit to Miro, which is using tools that really bring AI and teamwork together. And that's really our vision, where we double down on at Miro, is that on a shared space like a Miro board, you can work together with your AI agents, you can work together with people, and we want to make sure that actually teamwork happens where, so AI needs to be where teamwork happens. That's where we're aiming for. And how does it work? I'm going to show you a live demo in a bit, but the canvas, as you know Miro from, that's actually becoming the prompt. So I can just drag whatever I have. So I can drag some documents, I can drag some sticky notes that we just made together. I can have some Notion pages, Google, Microsoft, whatever you use, you just drag it on the Miro board. That becomes the shared context. We don't prioritize any LLM. You can just select it and say, I want to build a follow-up. I want to build a prototype. I want to build code. You just select it, what you have on your Miro board, and that brings you to the next level of your innovation process. So that's where we're going for, and that's what you can do right now in Miro. So I'm going to do a live demo, which is always tricky, but where we can see that hopefully AI and people can work together on the same space. So as you can see right here, I already created the synthesis document. I connected some flows. So these are flows, those lines that you probably cannot see, but there's some lines. They are connected to the presentation and to the input that you just gave. So what I'm now going to do is I click run. And so we have your input, and then I click on run here. And now, hopefully, when we have internet connection, it will create a debrief of this presentation where you can find all the slides, but also your input. And that's then where we want to be in the future, where we have AI and people still working in the same space. So the flow is running, it's preparing a document, and we will get back to that in a bit. Meanwhile, if you are a startup here and you don't have Miro yet, or you want to get a paid plan, you can scan this code and we can give you $1,000 in Miro credit, so you can use Miro more extensively. You can use it for your AI workflows, you can use it for your research, you could use it for your product roadmaps, pitch decks, whatever you want. So if you want to get $1,000, you can scan this, and if you want to get access to the Miro board and the slides, then you can scan this, where you can have, hopefully then, when that flow is done, also access to the synthesis that we made together. So it's still running. And then meanwhile, if you are eager to connect, then I would love that. And you can find me on LinkedIn on Yair Alevi. And if you're also interested in the book that I wrote on startup culture, this is there as well. So if you join the Miro board, you can find it there. Is the board? So yeah, it's already open, I guess, right? No, it's not. Sorry. So now everybody can join. So now you can join the board as well. I'm still waiting for, but we still have 4 minutes before. Yeah, the flow is completed. Let's see what comes out of it. So the synthesis is done. So here, so we get what the room was thinking about AI native connection strategies overall. We have the paradox, and you can find this here now. So that's how AI and people can work together in a shared space, where you don't have to work in a silo. What's currently happening, everybody's talking individually to a chatbot, but now you can bring it together in one place. And that's where we are heading with Miro. So let me get back one more time to the QR code. So if you want to get access to the Miro board, now we have the synthesis ready, and this will be available for you if you want to use it for yourself. So yeah, with that, I'd like to leave it, and thank you for your attention and participation.
Okay, thank you very much, Char. Are you open to having one question?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, sure. If anyone has a question, we do have 1 or 2 minutes if they want to ask any question. I know you've been sending them to the boards or whatever, but if you just have a question, we'll take it. Okay. Very good. Okay. And obviously we are going to have some networking afterwards, so people can come up to you and talk to you about that. Okay.
Is there a question?
Okay. Is there? No, I don't see. Like, my eyesight isn't, it's all very dark, so you can't see the expressions on the face. Anyway, no, okay, no questions. Okay, we'll leave that. Muito obrigado, no? You're Brazilian, right?
I'm not. I'm actually from Amsterdam, but I do have a Brazilian name. So.
All right, okay, I was guessing that. No, we have a conference in Porto Alegre, so we learn a bit about it. Okay, thank you so much for that. Okay, see you later. Okay, Jar, thank you very much. Come on, round of applause, people. Everyone should get a round of applause. Okay, very good. So we have one final speaker, Kiko, who's going to get ready. I just spoke to him a second ago. And here he comes, the mysterious Kiko, a man I work with every day. And Kiko and I are doing an AI build-a-thon tomorrow, which we're spending lots of time getting ready. Are you going to plug in? I've never spoken to you in English before, but are you going to plug in your...
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
very good. Okay. And he's got a lovely dramatic picture. Look at that for like an impactful picture. So we're just going to plug in, and then we're going to have Kiko's talk,
Sí,
and then
sí
we'll
que-
have some
sí que
networking.
me haré.
Okay, so...
Gracias.
And I don't think... We have 50 minutes, but we're not going to... It's going to be less time, right? How much time should be on the clock, Kiko?
15?
How much time should be on the clock?
1 hour.
Oh, okay.
But hopefully we are not going to spend 1 hour talking.
Okay. Well, you have to decide that. Okay. So how much time will they put on the clock?
1 hour.
Okay. And then we just wait for it to come up on the screen and check your microphone is working. And then we're ready to go.
Okay, let's see.
Okay.
Go. Now it works.
Perfect. Okay, very good. Okay, so I always ask for a welcome for every speaker. Everyone who stands in front of someone should always be welcomed. So could I have a welcome round of applause, please, for Kiko? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Now, in this last hour, to be honest, it's not necessary to spend 1 hour talking. Hopefully, we will finish with questions, open questions, and have a discussion about the topic we are going to cover today, because I think it's quite nice and, yeah, quite interesting, because we are not talking just about agents. We are going to see how is going to be the future for companies, not only for big companies, but also for medium and small companies. So we are talking about automation. First of all, I would like to know how many of you guys you have used last day, for example, any AI to ask questions. Obviously, all of us. The topic of today is how we use this AI to be more proactive, not only in terms of our personal duties, but also in our department or in our companies. To be honest, to prepare this conversation, I asked my assistant, it's not a real assistant, by the way, I asked my assistant to coordinate different agents to look for your profiles for all the people who has signed up this session, looking in internet, looking in LinkedIn, I mean, your degrees, blah, 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 blah. And at the end of the day, I have a profile to prepare all of that. How many of you guys, you have done something similar to preparing any meeting? Okay? So whenever you want to prepare any meeting, you use different agents to coordinate different tasks, all of that, right? Well, this is the kind of situations I want to cover today and see how these tasks can cover a full department in terms of automation. So, question is, today we are using these chatbots, we are using different agents in terms of doing different tasks, but the question is how we can improve our productivity, okay? How we can improve the way we are working in our department or in our companies. To be honest, most of the people that they are using, or we are using AI, we are covering just 10% of the tasks that are done in our department, okay? Meaning, whenever I ask my AI assistant to create, because this assistant realizes that by their own, they are not able to do their task, then and only then, they decide to create different agents to look in internet for your profiles or your degrees. I am not asking to create these agents. There is a specific agent who decided to do this, by the way. This is 10%. So I am not talking about you have any document and you need to extract information from that document to prepare any meeting or whatever. This is another level. This is done in a simple way, and you can do by your own with RAG processes. That's quite simple to do. Another step further is what I mentioned before. So ask agents that are able to create other agents to perform on specific tasks. And you have, I saw two hands that you, for example, yes, you said that you have, if you want to prepare any meeting or whatever, you have agents that are able to create by their own other agents to resolve a specific question, right? For example, or any of you guys, you have done something similar, right? Well, to be honest, the conversation for this afternoon is to explain that this, from my perspective, is the 10% of the whole task that you can do in your company, okay? So working like that, working with very powerful agents that are able to perform specific complex tasks, at the end of the day, is a very sexy and expensive, by the way, in the future, super expensive, Copilot, okay? But the leap here is to see how to transform this into another paradigm, that is the digital worker. How we can transform that in a digital worker that at the end of the day, they can perform by their own different tasks to simulate the tasks in a department. So, the objective is to create something that is able to perform tasks without no data team, without no very expensive and complex integration projects, and with no code. So this is feasible? This is possible? What do you think? You think it's possible? How many companies you know that are currently working without any person? How many? 0 people, one person, because it's necessary from a legal point of view. 1 person. You don't know. Anyone knows any company, 1 person? So the answer is not as simple. So no, it's not feasible. Currently, it's not as feasible as we can think. Maybe in the future. Right now, it's not feasible. Why? Because most of the people are working with their agents in a copilot mode. Okay? Whenever we ask, or whenever I ask my AI assistant to create their own whatever they do, they decide to create other agents. This is a kind of complexity, but at the end of the day, I am being proactive with an engine that is able to create other engines, let's say. At the end of the day, this is a chatbot. This is a way that this is a paradigm where one person needs to specify every single work and need to specify every single day what you need to do. This is more feasible. And maybe you guys, you know companies within their departments, 1 person to deploy all the tasks in a specific department, for example. Okay? We are not going to talk just about this. We are going to talk about real autonomy. Okay? So, for example, if you send this agent PDF, Excel files, 1,000 of websites to do a research, at the end of the day, is a copilot. It's a copilot, okay? So there are more powerful agents than others, but at the end of the day, is this. Is necessary a message, an instruction proactively from an individual perspective, from the head of the department, okay? So for example, if we want to do business decisions and we have our sales file. Okay? This is a more simple way of doing this. Obviously, the first step of doing this, what we need to do. First step is to extract information from the data lake in our company, from the sales perspective, right? How you can do this? I don't know if, because I see more or less the overall profile, but I don't know your profiles, by the way. So my question is, if you want to do an analysis of your sales, what you need to do, depending on the size of the company. If you guys, you are, I don't know, 10 people, 20 people, maybe you can just extract the information and it's simple. If not, if you are working in a large corporation, for example, you need to extract that information from the lakehouse and provide it to the agent, for example. So if we want to have some autonomy here, what we need to create? Anyone? Yes? A data set, this is the most important part from my side. But you need to create something else to connect to this data set. So what we need to have?
Well, MCP
for example,
connector.
For example. So imagine, for creating this MCP, you can create an agent for do that. So imagine, we want to extract information from a data lakehouse, so we need to create that MCP. First of all, you need to have a structured data information here, like a lakehouse or whatever. And after that, you have this CSV file with sales. So this is a simplification of the problem, okay? And once you have that, you can put all the complexity you want here. You can compare with different websites and everything, okay? But at the end of the day, you are able to have something like that. Something like that. This is done just by writing the prompt, and you can do whatever you want, whatever you can imagine here. So, as you can see, it's not necessary a data team at this part. Obviously, you need the data team at the very beginning to create the data infrastructure that we mentioned before, right? But you don't need a data or a business intelligence analyst or whatever in your team that extract information or insights in your data. You, as a CEO of your company, of your startup, or a head of any department, you can extract by your own insights directly from raw data created. Super simple. 3, 4, 5 minutes, depending on the model you are using, and you have just this. This is simple. This is hard. What do you think? Do you think this is a normal way of working currently in the companies? I don't think so. I don't think so. Maybe we are in a very small audience here where we are very aware of all of that, but outside it's not used. And it's super, super simple. And from a startup perspective, from a medium-sized company, is feasible as 20 minutes. 20 minutes to create the infrastructure, to create the MCP, and to create this kind of dashboards. Okay? A second example, for example, this is, for example, to create an automatic proposal for all your clients. Automatic proposal for your clients. So you need to extract the information from all your offering. What you need to do? Maybe extract information from your clients, obviously, but extract information about the market, the competition, these kind of things. For all these things, only one single piece of prompt separates from the job or not. As simple as this. And with this simple prompt, you can have something like that. So you can create just a, oops, this is in Spanish. Bueno, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you have a proposal from a specific client. My question is feasible to do an automation for that? Yes, it's feasible. Is simple? Yes, it's simple. The problem, I'm going to do just a little brief about the conversation I want to have with you guys in 20, hopefully in 15 minutes. If you want to automatize this, if you want to have memory, if you want to continue this task for every single day, this is another thing. But if you want right now to send 1,000 emails, personalized for all your clients, for your specific offering, for your products, is super feasible. But again, we need to be proactive. We as a human being, we need to ask an agent or whatever to perform the tasks. And these agents, hopefully they will create other agents or whatever, depending on the product we are using or depending on your skills that you can do. Okay? Another example that is super feasible for all the companies. For all the companies and small companies. Well, you can also organize all your emails to create specific campaigns. This is a step for the next example. You can organize all your emails. How many of you have already this done? Here? The man here with the mobile phone? Ah, that's the point. Well, I asked him because he said that he was able to create different agents to coordinate different agents. You have done something like that? For example, to organize your inbox. Yep. But maybe you agree with me that it's a simple task to organize the emails. I don't know if you know, I mean, this is not powered by Anthropic, obviously, but in the last 2 weeks, I think specific plugins were delivered related to small businesses. I don't know if you know that. With these plugins, for example, for companies that they are able not to have this kind of technology to create agents that create agents, this is key, they have created different plugins to orchestrate all of this. And as complex as just clicking and organizing your email. This is super simple after this delivery from Anthropic. And obviously, OpenAI, Google, all of them, they are creating this kind of products to try to orchestrate and facilitates the life for the small companies and departments at the end of the day. This is super, super simple. So this is the output that you can have every single day by organizing your emails. And after that, and to finish the examples, is imagine that you want to create a specific marketing campaigns for the different channels. Specific marketing campaigns for different channels. For example, tomorrow and Friday, we are going to do in 3 hours a company. The company I have created, just as an example, is a company to organize the marketing campaigns for other companies, for example. Things that I have done. I have created my own CRM to my for my clients. And I see all the publications in the different channels that my clients have to be proactive and offer different campaigns depending on the offering. All of that is done, obviously, by agents. In my case, my company is me, myself. But again, what is all of that in common? They need me to say, I want this, I want that, I want this, I'm feeling like a pilot on a Formula One car. You see this? So, well, here you have the output of the, for the different days, you have the different campaigns depending on the channel and on the week. So, the idea for today, all these examples that we have covered, all the things that I have done with my company, all the things that you can work by your own and orchestrate by your own different agents, and you can complicate whatever you want here. Agents that orchestrate agents that orchestrate agents, but if at the end of the day you need, or they need, your word to trigger a specific action, you are in the 10% of the automation. From the 10%, from the 100% is the full automation of a department or a company. This is the topic for this afternoon, okay? So, here is more or less the level of the maturity map. The maturity map that I have created this. I have created this to explain the different levels that, from my perspective, right now we are working on a near future that I can foresee. So first of all, we have level 1, meaning you include different files, you include different websites, and using RAG, for example. Behind is using RAG, but maybe you don't know, but doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you have a dialogue with a chatbot that most of the time is good enough, okay, for our daily basis. This is level 0. Level 1 is all related about what we have already talked. Okay? Remember, agents that orchestrate agents, but at the end of the day, they need a human to specify the tasks. This is the level 1. So here I have 2 different levels, level 2, level 3. Level 2, level 2, yeah, I started in 0. Level 2, maybe some of you guys, you know about that. Can anyone tell me, by reading this, what do you think that I am thinking that level 2 is? What is this autonomous agent? Do you know any autonomous agent? Sorry? Okay. Other one? Exactly. They're more like that, but OpenClaw. By the way, it was bought directly. What do you think, that movement? In a product that was not as big as preventing buyer here. Well, this is the autonomous agent. Have you used OpenClaw, by the way? Yes? You are able to install this agent in a laptop and starts working in an autonomous way. You provide the different you provide the different access to all the systems, and they can be autonomous, okay? So what is level 3? That level 3 is how we can use this technology to orchestrate not just a task for a specific day, or a specific task, by the way, and extrapolate not only for a persona, but also from a department perspective. Whenever you use OpenClaw, you cannot use the input from one agent to the execution for the next day or the next execution you are going to do. If you execute 100 OpenClaws in parallel, you are not able to combine information between them. Secondly, you don't have the memory. So it's not just about coordination, but it's also about memory. Okay? You say, you can store the memory. Okay. You need to work, remember, with Windows, the context windows and all of this. It's not as simple. Imagine if it's that simple, Claude was launching a product doing this, no? And the most important thing, learning. Audit, I wrote here audit, but this is another important thing, that is learning. These agents, they must learn after every single execution. So it's not just about the coordination between all the OpenClaws that you can launch, but also learn one from each other. Anyone can tell me what is this? That was invented 30 years ago. This is something that we say reinforcement learning. By the way, this is the way all the LLMs are trained, using this reinforcement learning. So imagine OpenClaw. All of us, we have OpenClaw in mind. Imagine to create a specific OpenClaw for your department, with the specific tasks that only your department can do, not other things. And this process, they learn from all the executions to improve that process till the end, until the zero error. This is the concept. This is the new paradigm that I want to share with you guys here. Okay? Okay? Here you have a little bit more explain this maturity map. So obviously, level 0, we don't have memory. We don't have coordination. Obviously, there is no learning between one another. Obviously, we use the context, but it's not the same concept. Why? First technical question. I am not going to do a lot of technical questions. The difference is if you use the previous outputs for the next answer, for the next question, you are using context. If you force the model to learn, you are retrained the model for a specific task. The concept is different. So that's the reason why I click here, learning, not learning for the level 0. Okay? The level 1, the agents like Claude and all the, here inside of this level is included Claude and all the plugins and all the skills. I didn't ask that at the very beginning, but obviously when I said if you are using Codex or you are using Claude Code or whatever, obviously I'm asking about how many skills you are using. I don't know how many, have plenty. Imagine, for doing this, I have created a specific skill. Joe, by the way, for doing this, I created a specific skill from for the branding, for example. So Claude Code is all about the skills and plugins, okay? This is level 1, okay? Again, memory, only in your session. remember, you want to combine the memory between different, different folders, between different projects. I'm not talking about, again, there is a super common mistake here. You need to create different projects to save tokens. You cannot use all the questions in the same project, right? So that's the reason why here we have a problem with the memory, because you cannot combine memory between different projects. Obviously, if you do that trick and you have the conversation with the previous outputs, again, you are not training the model, you are using this as a context, and you are burning tokens as a hell here, okay? Learning, again, no? And only individual tasks for today. And the Claude Code, OpenClaw, this autonomous agent, obviously is more, it's persistent, could be multi-agent. Obviously, to perform very complicated tasks must be multi-agent, but the problem of this is the audit. This is a technical part, by the way, but it's key whenever you create these kind of things. And the learning. By the way, audit is quite important because it's the way a human being can provide feedback to retrain the model. This sentence is key. Remember, this level 3 is about reinforcement learning. The difference is it's not necessary to spend millions of euros to train a specific model. You can retrain for the specific purpose, for a specific department or company, whatever. Here, at this level, okay? So again, how you can retrain, how you can provide feedback. You need to provide feedback if you have an audit from all the outputs, from all the agents that you perform in your company or in your department or whatever. And at the very beginning of this process, in your company, in your department or whatever, you need that human in the loop, but just at the very beginning, with the help of the audit of the system, to provide feedback. And with that feedback, you are going to retrain these kind of models. You see the difference? Maybe with an example you will see. This is what we have told before. The problem is whenever you break or whenever you split the conversation in different projects or in different LLMs, different technologies, maybe you can coordinate, but the memory and the interaction between them is not as feasible as you can imagine. So that's the way you need to extract and create a new paradigm, a new orchestrator on top of that to create these kind of solutions. So talking about the future, by the way, I think now is time to see something important, because maybe you think that this is not real or whatever. Again, do you think any company, do you think any team that is able to create this kind of technology for other companies? Imagine, yes, in that last level of maturity, if you know any company that is able to create this kind of technology to create an automation, full automation of a specific person or a specific department. Okay. Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you so much because it's a wonderful example. I mean, this is an example of a super coordination between agents. This is an example of like Cloud Code can do or OpenClaw can do. There is a difference whenever you want to create something that is quite similar to a human being, because you can train a model for a specific task, but whenever any spontaneous task that you as a human being, you are not interacting with the agent, the AI is able to resolve. This is the thing, this is the question.
Yes, yesterday Microsoft unveiled several new technologies or features within their AI governance structure, let's say, that actually they're aiming at that part, because they're going to have a total governance within the AI agents that the workforce is going to build by themselves, and with the advantage that you're going to be able to audit, version it, so you can constantly upgrade it. But with the feature that they're going to allow that agents start to talk within themselves. No? And well, one point that I share with my friend here is that also they launched yesterday that finally OpenClaw is going to work natively inside Windows. And we know that OpenClaw has a lot of security issues, I think I recall, but they are all solved with the yesterday's launch. No? So it's super fast paced. No?
It's super fast. And I'm going to, I have other slides, but I think it's time to talk about that. Imagine that I provide you a super fancy product powered by Google or by Microsoft for the salaries, for their ERP in your companies. Okay? The only thing that you need to do is just install it like OpenClaw. You provide user and password, and they do everything. They do this automatically. Are you going to trust on this technology for your company? What do you think?
If it's secure and inside a closed system that you know what it's trained on, then perhaps. But we've come back to this question of where does the human touch come into play? I think the biggest finance output of your company, which is giving salaries, I think that's where human touch is very much needed.
Yeah, absolutely agree. But the question is alive. If you have a high level of customization in your ERP, are you going to trust in this technology? Because this technology is done with a lot of inputs, and that's the question.
We have a client with one of the largest banks in the world with over 180,000 employees, and we're talking to them about things such as this, but they don't use external systems. They build them or leverage them internally. So to the extent they can be, I don't know if the right word is orchestrated or controlled or managed at a level of granularity, to be determined. But they do not allow their employees to use these external models. They allow them to use the internal model that was built on, and I don't know even though we have an NDA, they certainly haven't given us this level of knowledge, but whatever levels of customization and particularization they put there is clearly what they're more comfortable with. And it may not be for these, I don't know to the extent it's the level of paying employees, but to the level of getting better results from them, I think that's used.
This is key. So how you can create for your company something that works like OpenClaw. This is what I want to explain in this last level of maturity. For me, is to create something similar to OpenClaw, but inside of your company with the processes that are common or are, you need to create a specific OpenClaw for your team, for your department, or for your company. With the processes that are already done, you can create an ontology, that concept, an ontology of your department, and replicates this to allow agents to work as an OpenClaw, but in your company with your rules, with all of that. You see the problem? So that's the reason why hyperscalers, they are not going to work on this term for small companies, this kind of small, medium companies, because it's not feasible right now. Maybe in a near future, yes, but now, no. So my point is, are we able to create this for our companies, our startups, or whatever? This is my point. So the point is not to automatize tasks, is to automatize roles. So we can do this. So how we can create specific models to create agents to be proactive and work as a human being? What inputs do we need? Do we need emails? We need, what else do you think you need?
Well, we do education, so we do what are called job task analysis.
Okay.
So for IBM and Pearson and some big clients of ours, we actually do a detailed analysis, which of course AI supports, helping us. We used to do, just a quick story, is 20 years ago, some of the big Australian banks, I was working with them, we manually documented. I'm demonstrating my fingers moving rapidly because we documented in Word documents in Excel and then a database, and it took forever. And now obviously that happens in a day or 2 days, but it still requires the intervention of someone who knows that role. We just did one for one of these big organizations for the forward deployed engineer, which is the hot buzzword of the day. And what does that role entail? So I think that one of the key parts is understanding the job, right? What does the job entail?
Fantastic. Other thing, super visual, something that I have already done. Record the job of your team, of the people, or whatever. Record a job. So how many times you open your Outlook, how many times you interact with an ERP, how many fields you fill, okay? This is another input. Interviews with the employees, and with all of this, we are able to create a specific model trained for your purpose, okay? To create an ontology of your tasks, but not tasks. Remember, we don't want to automatize tasks. I want to automatize roles. So we create this, I like that sentence. Using these inputs, we are able to create an ontology of the role, and at the end of the day, we create an ontology of a specific department. You see? Maybe some of you guys said, hey, I heard this already. I mean, the robots, no? The robots, imagine you can train a robot to do click here, click, you close a window or whatever. Here is not the same. You know why? Because that robot doesn't have a purpose. This sounds like a metaphysics conversation, but it's real. I mean, whenever you train a model, you have an objective, and you are going to provide positive or negative feedback. Remember, reinforcement learning. This is about reinforcement learning, okay? So with that purpose, with this objective, you transform a simple movement in something that is able to think by their own if this is the correct place of doing this or not. okay? I try to simplify a lot the sentence and the concept, but it's this. And here's the way: capture, create that model, train the model, remember, without feedback, control the audit, and improve again and again and again and again. Yes?
The first two bullets on this,
Yeah.
we were talking before about the AI native startup. So startups that have started after AI. And so we run AI native startups, and I'm thinking about some of these departments, like you say, there's no traceable knowledge because it doesn't exist yet. Or whatever we've done has been iterated 7 times, and we're looking for the 8th.
Yeah.
So how do we capture when there's no real base?
I'm resolving that answer in one of the startups I'm launching. Obviously, you can find someone who teaches you how to work in a specific project and create by your own in an AI native world. By the way, this is real. I cannot tell you because, I didn't introduce myself at the very beginning. Pero one part of my life, I'm launching different startups, and I'm in advisory for some startup, also investor. And I'm working with guys. I cannot tell you the clients because it's super secret. And you are going to understand why it's secret. Because these companies that they are working or we are working with are in IBEX, the most important, no? IBEX here in Spain. And we are going to delete all the marketing department. I cannot tell you, but if you take an important flight in Europe, there is not going to have marketing department. Obviously, this is quite secret because los sindicatos, no, that is quite complicated. So we are moving to create we want to help native companies because it's quite more simple to do from native companies than try to replace all of this. But that obviously is a kind of catastrophic message, and that's the reason why it's not written here. It's kind of secret. But the point here is you can think about this, and this is something that is going to happen in near future that you will use somehow in your companies, small, medium, large companies. And before ending, something that I want to say. These kind of models, this kind of technology will be quite expensive, and we have already realized that, but this is not a problem of the cost, because maybe you can afford that. We will see in a near future that these models, maybe we will not be able to reach this. So we need to be very careful whenever you build your whole company, your whatever, with this kind of agents that are provided by an Prescaler, and maybe at the end of the day, any government or something said, okay, you as a country, you in Spain, you whatever, your company, you are a bank, and I don't know. We are not owners of this decision. The only thing that we know is our process is all created with different workflows, with different agents in Anthropic or whatever, or in OpenAI or Google or whatever. And you are not going to have the last word to decide if you are able to use one model or another. I'm not talking about the harness, you know that concept, no? This is basic. Whatever obviously, I didn't put in the slides, but that harness concept is the way you can interact with different agents at the same time and orchestrate this, okay? So the harness, obviously, is something that is in your own, is your intellectual property. But at the end of the day, this harness, this orchestration of the agents, at the end of the day, they have LLMs behind. If you are not able to reach these LLMs, what we do? So that's the reason why these kind of solutions are also powerful, because if you train your own model and you put any GPU next to your door, with your model trained for your objective, remember, for your tasks, you will be able to be autonomous from these hyperscalers, and you will be able to work in a very AI native way. And that was my last point that I want to share with you guys. Well, thank you so much. It was an hour, but creo que bien, ¿no? Una hora.
No, we're very good. The catering comes in 7 minutes, okay? So they're all kind of doing their bits and pieces. But I mean, we had some good interaction. So
Fantastic interaction, by the way. Thank you so much. Thank you all of you guys.
You know, I know myself as a speaker that like if you have just one person interested, that's enough. You know, and very often I also know that
we were small, but
yeah,
the good
small,
ones were here.
Small but mighty. Okay, I don't know. Is there any kind of follow-up question just while we're kind of waiting for the catering, or else we can? But I hope that you guys that did have questions will stay around while we have the catering and continue the dialogue. Okay, including the questions. So thank you very much, Gige. You have a very full agenda in South Summit. You and I have workshops tomorrow and also on Friday.
Yeah.
So we'll be doing trying to build some, and then actual things that go into production. So AI is very kind of, you know, like I was teasing Elena about earlier. You know, you could give a presentation every single day on AI. You know, the world seems to have an infinite capacity. So thank you for being here. Thank you to all the people who stayed behind. Thank you also to the production team. Always good to mention. And with me, this is Joe Haslam saying goodbye from the AI Forum. And let's do some networking. And thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Joe.